Hi everyone, welcome to Executive Viewpoint. Today we are going to look at the impact of COVID-19 on retail sector. While all the sectors have been impacted significantly, the most visible or the most talked about sector is retail. Let's look at some of the aspects of the impact on retail today. In the last 2 3 months, what we have observed is that the household items, the supplies, the grocery has taken precedence, right? And people have pushed out their luxury purchases, such as fashion. All apparel purchases have been pushed out. Expensive electronics have taken a hit. Your furniture shopping has taken a hit. So people have been focusing more on the essential items rather than luxury items. There have been some surprising trends also. There has been an increase in the purchase of exercise equipment, fitness equipment, and computers and laptops. Mostly because of the given situation, right? People are not able to go out and they have to opt for work from home. Also, they cannot go to their gyms, or they're avoiding going outside. So they're trying to get those things at home to be able to continue with their life. As per a report published by Adobe Analytics, the sale of fitness equipment saw a rise of 55% in March, and similarly for computers, they saw a rise of around 40% in the month of March. I myself have been trying to purchase a bike for last few days, and you won't believe that it is almost impossible to get a bike under $100 on any of the sites. I've been checking Walmart, Target, even Amazon on a daily basis, but you cannot. There seems to be no bike in stock which is under $100 right now. On the physical store front, right, even though grocery stores, pharmacies, your hardware stores, they're all deemed essential and they're open, there has been a large drop in the footfall, with customers avoiding going to the physical stores. And at the same time, there has been a huge increase in the online and mobile shopping, the deliveries, the curbside pickups. As per a report published by ACI Worldwide, the global e-commerce saw a staggering increase of 209% in the month of April this year. So, which can tell you the extent to which customer habits are changing now. Next, let's take a look at the long-term impact and long-term changes in customer behavior that we are expecting to be there. So, like 9/11 brought a lot of changes, right, to the travel industry, and it changed it forever. Similarly, this pandemic is also going to change a lot of things, and that are going to stay with us, stick with us. So in this segment, we'll take a look at some of those things that we're expecting will stay with us long after the pandemic is gone. So even after the business is open, right, a lot of the social distancing habits, a lot of hygiene work that is being done right now in the stores and the businesses is going to stay with us for at least a few months, if not years, right? Also, depending upon how long this situation continues and how severe the resultant economic impact is, consumer spending habits are going to see a shift, and they may not go back to whatever it was before the pandemic. Because of these tough economic conditions, right, the marketplace itself is going to see a sea change. A lot of businesses will fold. A lot of businesses, I'm pretty sure, will merge, consolidate, and of course, like what happens in these kind of situations, often a lot of new players will emerge, a lot of new business models will emerge. We've already seen some of that happening around us, like Panera, which is a fast food chain, has now started its own grocery service. Uh, all the big box stores or grocery stores who were not so keen on home delivery earlier for the groceries are now going ahead and doing it. So a lot of these changes are going to stay with us for a long time to come. Next, let's look at the focus area for the retailers in the months to come. In the coming months, we'll be seeing a lot of focus from a retail perspective, right, being put on their digital strategy. Companies who didn't have one in place will now look to put one. Those who had one will for sure revisit it, revise it, and make sure it is relevant for situations like the pandemic. We've been talking about moving to omni-channel, right? Having an omni-channel presence for most retailers, and that has been going on for years now. But I think this pandemic is really going to push the bar on that, and all the retailers are going to take that much more seriously, make it part of their core digital strategy, and move towards having a real omni-channel presence post this. And along with omni-channel, right, another thing that all retailers are going to take more seriously now is the delivery aspect, right? Till now, delivery was more limited to non-perishable items, but this current situation has shown that it is possible to do delivery and curbside pickups for perishable items also, and that too economically. So this thing is going to stay for a long period of time to come. So another thing that the retailers, especially the grocery segment, right, where the margins are very small, right, they have to deal with is the operational costs, right, because of increased security, safety measures, all the curbside deliveries, increased labor force. So all this is going to contribute to their operational costs, and it is going to change the shopping experience also, right? Because traditionally what we have been focusing on is laying out the store in such a way so that at the front you have something that is cheap or bargain item, so that you get the customer in the store, and then you put the essential item like milk and dairy at the back of the store, so that the customer has to navigate through the store and go to the back, and in the process they end up buying something to what is referred to as a impulse buy. But that concept of impulse buy is no longer applicable when people are ordering remote. They're not going to see any of that. So I think retailers need to think about how they can replicate that model in a digital space also. Next, let's look at some of the areas from a technology perspective, right? From a technology investment perspective, what are the different focus areas that the retailers will have to look into? Like I mentioned earlier, digital transformation, of course, will be a big focus. We can expect a lot of investments in mobile, in omnichannel presence, online ordering, delivery tracking, and delivery management systems. From a physical store perspective, we can see more investments in self-checkouts now, contactless payment, technology enablement for curbside pickups, Amazon Go, which till now looked like a futuristic concept or some sort of an experiment, might become very mainstream now. Also, not only retail, right, but in all across all sectors, we'll see more investments in collaborative technologies now, so that employees can work remotely. A lot of investment will happen in cloud, so that given such a situation again, they have the capability to scale up pretty quickly based on the customer demand. Companies will also evaluate their supply chains, current existing supply chains. Since initially this pandemic originated in one country, China, which impacted everybody's supply chain, they will look at it from a disaster recovery perspective. They will look at alternative sourcing for their products. And they'll look at options to make it more flexible and more robust going forward. Next, we will take a look at some of the immediate challenges that are there. First immediate challenge is the liquidity at hand or the cash in hand that the stores have to navigate these challenging times. Even if the stores are not getting open to full hours, right? Do they have enough money to keep the businesses running, to keep their employees paid? So those are some of the initial immediate challenges that they need to look at. Second thing is what happens to the stuck inventory, right? There is inventory that might be stuck in warehouses, especially for apparel industry, right? There might be apparel that is specific to spring, but we don't know how long the situation continues. If the stores open back in November, then the customers will not be looking for spring clothing, they'll be looking for winter clothing. What do stores do with that stuck inventory here in warehouses? Another aspect is there are still inventory stuck in customs on ships at offshore, which are in quarantine before entering US. What happens to that? And that is another factor they need to manage. Yet another thing is all the sporting events are either cancelled or delayed right now. So there are a lot of athletic gear, right, which might have been specific to the upcoming season, which may not be relevant anymore. How do they handle that thing and going forward? And finally, the profitability, right? Like I discussed earlier, there is already a very low margin at which most of these retail stores operate, and with increased costs due to the new regulations and new hygiene factors, also increased labor hours and increased costs due to curbside delivery and all these things, will it impact the profitability? The impulse buys are also not there, which are usually high margin items. Those also will not be there. So how do retailers look at options to stay profitable in the long run? Next, we'll look at some recommendations that the stores can look at in the near future. So in addition to the omni-channel presence, focus on digital strategy, an alternative strategy that the stores can look at is creating warehouses that are specific to delivery, where the customer is not going to walk in, so you don't have to worry about modeling and aesthetics and layouts, right? It can be just a warehouse, okay, from where you are facilitating all your logistics. So basically look at local distribution centers from where you can facilitate quick delivery for your products. One benefit of such warehouses will be that because there is minimum interference in terms of customers walking in, you can apply more automation. You can focus on storage efficiencies, you can focus on delivery logistics and building efficiencies there, and worry less about all your aesthetics. Another thing that retailers really need to focus on now is personalization, give and targeted marketing, because like I mentioned earlier, those impulse buy things are not are out of the question right now if people are ordering online. So how do you use the existing data that you have for the customer and use it to provide a personalized experience to that customer, and then facilitate your upsells and cross sells accordingly. Another recommendation is to evaluate the supply chain. Make sure we have alternative sourcing for at least our majority products. Focus on distributed and local fulfillment, sourcing locally instead of trying to source it from distant places, so that even if disruptions occur, right, not all your supply chain is affected. If disturbance happens, only that local area is getting affected and less number of customers are getting impacted. So that's it for today. Please do let me know your thoughts and feedback in comments, and subscribe the channel for more such videos. Thank you.